If revenge is a dish best served cold, then an icy hockey arena is the perfect place to settle some frosty payback. There may be no better example of petty revenge in the NHL than the infamous clash between Brendan Shanahan and Rick Vive. This story is filled with teenage dreams, a snubbed autograph, and a long simmering grudge. And this story deserves to be told in all of its ridiculous glory. Now, Brendan Shanahan is a name that is synonymous with the NHL. Over his 21-year career, he was known as a force to be reckoned with, especially during his time with the Red Wings, where he snagged 3 Stanley Cups. He cemented his legacy as one of the greatest wingers of his era. But long before his glory days in Detroit, before he was an NHL superstar, Shanahan was just a wide-eyed teenager with dreams and an idol of his own. Now let's rewind to the 1980s, when Shanahan was just a hockey hopeful skating in the rinks in Toronto. Meanwhile, Rick Vive was carving out his own NHL career. After starting his career in the now defunct WHA, Vive moved on to the NHL and began making waves. His early years with the Vancouver Canucks were solid, but it wasn't until he was traded to the Maple Leafs where he really started to shine. Vive became the first player in Toronto history to score 50 goals in a single season, a feat that he went on to repeat for 3 consecutive years. Needless to say, to young Shanahan, Vive was a bona fide hero. Now, every kid has a dream of meeting their childhood hero. Now, we've all played it out in our heads of meeting our idols, walking down the street, just randomly asking for an autograph, stumbling through words. It's every kid's dream, and it's something kids will cherish forever. But for Shanahan, his meet your hero moment didn't go exactly as planned. In fact, it went quite horrible. In 1983, a 14-year-old Shanahan was skating at a rink in Toronto when word spread that Vive, the Maple Leaf superstar, was also on the ice. You could almost picture Shanahan's excitement, his childhood hero right there in the same building as him. After both players finished their session, Shanahan, gathering courage, decided to walk up to Vive and ask for an autograph. Well, instead of a dream interaction, Shanahan got hit with a kind of response that makes you wish you could crawl into a snowbank and disappear. It's just a simple request from a starstruck kid. As Shanahan later recounted, he never even acknowledged him, and that's an extremely polite way of saying it didn't go well. Whether Vive was just having a bad day or did not want to play hero to a young teenager, the specifics are still murky. But what we do know from that day is that Shanahan left the rink without his prized autograph. And as anyone who has ever been let down by their heroes, that sticks with you. Now fast forward to 91, where Shanahan is now a full-time NHLer playing for the New Jersey Devils. Vive, now nearing the end of his own career, was playing for the Buffalo Sabres, and the two players met on the ice in what should have been just a regular season game. But for Shanahan, this was no ordinary game. It was a moment of reckoning. At the beginning, the game was quiet, nothing out of the ordinary. Then the puck dropped, and Shanahan snapped. In a scene that can only be described as hilariously over the top, Shanahan went after Vive like a man possessed. As Shanahan put it himself, when the puck dropped, I attacked Vive. He couldn't believe the rage I had in me. Imagine Vive's confusion. 1 minute he's in a face-off, the next he's getting pummeled by a player half his age, seemingly for no reason at all. 2 linemen jumped in to separate them. But Shanahan wasn't finished. It took both refs all their might to force Shanahan into the penalty box to serve his time. Shanahan, now fuming with intensity that could melt the ice beneath his skates. Vive, utterly bewildered by the situation, turned to one of Shanahan's teammates for an explanation. "What did I do?" he asked, generally clueless. He was told he probably should have signed an autograph for a young fan back in Toronto all those years ago. Shanahan, it seems, has been nursing a grudge for nearly a decade. Who knew a missed autograph could plant the seed for such an epic revenge? The idea that Shanahan had been waiting, just waiting, for his chance to square things up with Vive is equal parts ridiculous and relatable at the same time. I mean, who among us has never held on to a petty grudge? But most people also don't get the chance of settling that score in front of thousands of people on a professional stage. But like any good hockey fight, The story has a twist and a wholesome ending. Sometime after their epic on-ice confrontation, Vive found himself in a full-circle moment of his own. His son, now 14, had his own chance to meet Shanahan. This time, when the 14-year-old asked for an autograph, Shanahan obliged. He happily signed an autograph for the young fan, putting behind him a feud that had been going on for too long. The moral of the story? Well, first off, sign those autographs. You never know what kid you might run into 10 years down the road. Second, sometimes revenge is a dish best served cold, but preferably on the ice, with a couple refs and thousands of fans to watch the spectacle. And finally, in true hockey fashion, even the pettiest of grudges can eventually melt away, leaving room for a handshake, a smile, and even a signed autograph for a kid who'll never forget it. In the end, Brendan Shanahan's rise to NHL stardom wasn't just about goals and championships. It was also about one of the most delightful, pettiest acts of revenge anyone has ever witnessed. And though his NHL career will be remembered for his time with the Red Wings and his time as the president of the Toronto Maple Leafs, for those in the know, his tussle with Rick Vive is a legend in its own. It's a reminder that hockey stars are human, and sometimes they hold on to grudges like the rest of us. And as always, guys, thank you. If you got any value from the video, how about going ahead and hitting that like button? Go ahead and check out the channel for some more long form videos. I'm even starting a short series called On This Date in Sports History, so check that out also. And as always, guys, I'll see you next time.